Hey there, this is Josh Burns, and I'm here to do my video on ADHD. ADHD, it actually stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Or, some people they refer to it as ADD, but the correct name is ADHD. Here in the thing, I'm gonna do the video. I'm gonna do a few things. I'm gonna explain, some of the common, I'd say, ages that you would find ADHD, and how much it's gonna, or how much it does increase, and kind of the basic behaviors. As to what degree ADHD can be, or how does it, fit in certain categories, the classroom intervention, how it can affect you in the classroom, just some simple things about ADHD just to kind of give you some common knowledge. As I show here in my slide, there are over 6.1 million children right now, which in this study was done in 2016, that are diagnosed with ADHD. And I show the ages. It's all in, I would say, fairly younger people. 388,000 from 2 to 5, 4 million from 6 to 11, and 3 million from 12 to 17 years old. There could be, I'd say anyone, can have moments of, excuse me, of ADHD, but there are three main types of it. The three main types are going to be predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive or impulsive, and then there's a combined type. Its rate of increase, as I show here, over the past few decades, the view of who can develop ADHD has changed, and it's no longer a white middle class boy disease. The increase, it went from 6.1% to 10.2% in 2016, meaning that 1 in 10 children have ADHD. That's a pretty big increase in my eyes. Diagnosing and treating more races could be a reason for the spike, or caution it has to be taken in diagnosing ADHD, whereas it's just a social behavior or an environmental problem. A lot of ADHD is treated like a mental disorder, and the exact cause of it is it's really unknown. But a lot of researchers believe they believe that it can be caused by like a chemical imbalance, and it's just something that affects the brain. Some of the basic behaviors I found was that you cannot stay on task, or problem focusing. Focusing on certain problems that you're trying to solve. It's just hard to stay on track, basically. Fidgeting, restlessness, hyperactive, talking too much, defiant, um, impulsivity, or unorganized. There's a lot of different behaviors there, and some of those behaviors, they make it difficult for a student to sit still long enough to complete certain tasks that are required of them. And as a student, if you can't sit still and complete a task, it makes part of being in a classroom and being a student, it makes it that much harder on you. As I say, because when you're not interested in what you're doing, it's to me it's very hard to stay focused. And as a teacher, you're going to lose patience with your student, and you're quick to consider a student as defiant, bad, or not smart, which I don't like to hear a teacher consider a student that way. But nowadays I feel like people lose their patience a lot easier than they should. And these certain behaviors, they can cause a teacher to want to give up on a student, which as a teacher you should never want to do. there's some skewed facts. It just shows, the percentage that have been determined among boys and girls can possibly be wrong. Um, I also read that it was estimated that nearly 17, this refers back to my first slide here as to how many people. I read that, almost 17 million Americans are affected by this disease. And the one thing was that this, just to kind of give you an idea of how many Americans are affected by it, the state of New York, they say the population in the state of New York is 19 million people. So if 17 million are affected by ADHD, that just kind of gives you an idea. New York is a huge state with obviously millions and millions of people, and it's just kind of alarming to, if you kind of put it in I guess, just a easier sense to where you can see how big it really is. But another thing I said here, with the primary behaviors of ADHD being hyperactivity and impulsivity, and first noticed during early childhood, more boys diagnosed with ADHD than girls of this age. Excuse me, girls who have ADHD during early childhood show behaviors of inattentive characteristics rather than typical misbehavior characteristics that boys commonly show. There are all certain degrees of ADHD. Characteristics are not seen to the same degree in every single person. There's a lot of different characteristics in every different person. Not all people who have it are hyper, or just, are not everyone's fidgety. Some people are more inattentive than hyperactive. Where does it fit in? I would say, ADHD, it falls underneath within an idea of a other health impaired. Under the idea, it can be determined as a learning disability, therefore making a student eligible to receive special services. Medically, ADHD, it's not considered a learning disability. Classroom intervention. This is kind of, some things that kind of helps, I guess you would say, in the classroom, where, as here I say, we're implementing positive behaviors as a teacher has to use tools, excuse me, that have been put in place to creating an effective learning situation. And referring back to what I said before, is losing your patience very easily with a student who's having a problem with paying attention or, being attentive in class. It's not going to help the student. You have to kind of, I guess you would say, give a little more time for that student, or be a little more patient and understanding, because, not everyone learns as easy. Establishing classroom and teaching rules. Implement good behavior games. If a student, is, you reward them basically. If their behavior is good, over a course of time in the class, you can behave, you can reward them with, just a simple game, something to, I would say, attract their attention in the classroom. Provide them with some feedback and error correction. Increase praise when they do a good job. Make sure they know that. Show them praise, and just I can't stress on that enough. It's as simple as, in my eyes, ask someone how their day has been. Tell them, good job. Just simple things as that goes a long way in some people's eyes, and especially in a student that's having a tough time in the classroom. When they do a good job, make sure that they know that, and that you push that and tell them. Effective in the classroom intervention. When a teacher uses a class-wide intervention method, There's an increase in positive teacher-student interactions. The positive learning environment produces more engagement while minimizing problem behaviors. So, as you make your environment more of a positive place than being negative towards a student that's had trouble learning or having trouble not being fidgety or paying attention. If you increase the positive learning environment, it's going to minimize the student wanting to have a negative behavior in my eyes. Effective classroom interventions promote and reinforce social behavior. And, effective ADHD instruction. Students with ADHD, they do not fit into one learning category. There's many different learning categories. As I've talked about before in previous videos, not all students learn the same way. One student may learn one way, whereas another student learns a different way. So, you kind of have to teach in more than one way. That way it kind of fits into all the different categories, of helping each student learn. Breaking larger tasks into smaller units often helps. Many ADHD students have difficulty in organization. That's an area that teachers can color code, clean out dates, and use calendars daily to help that student in ways that it can be organized. If you can help them in simple ways, break down, simple organization skills, that could help them in those little ways go a long way in the classroom. ADHD students struggle with OTR activities, peer tutoring, and cooperative learning because of one-on-one instruction and structured roles. And, overall, I would say, ADHD is something, it can be a tough disorder, but if taught effectively in the classroom and, given the attention needed, I feel like the student, even a student that has, I'd say severe ADHD can do well in a classroom. Thank you.